Hakakha. Él es un doctor que trabaja tanto en el Kaiser permanente, que nos hace favor de presentarlo el día de hoy, y también en el Antelope Valley Medical Center. Él es el jefe, asistente médico de Kaiser permanente, y también él es jefe de departamento él es jefe de departamento de ginecología y obstetricia del Antelope Valley Medical Center. Entonces está perfectamente bien conectado con las dos partes. Si tiene alguna pregunta nos puede llamar al 661-538-1470, 661-538-1470. Could you please provide some examples of ways Kaiser Permanente and Antelope Valley Medical Center have teamed up to assist a patient?
Sure. So, you know, at this point, the majority of the obstetrical patients who are delivered at Antelope Valley Medical Center, we call it the Women's and Infants Pavilion, are actually Kaiser patients. And so we work very closely with the nursing staff in the hospital to care for the patients every day. In addition to that, we're fortunate to be able to partner with the hospital to bring certain opportunities that wouldn't otherwise be available. For example, there's something called Critical Events Team Training. It's a initiative that Kaiser follows very closely and that the hospital has been interested in. And so we have helped bring that education to the hospital to better care for the patients.
And it's critical events. What else?
Well, that's one of the main initiatives that we've brought, but there's open communication, and so anything else that we can share, Kaiser has always been happy.
But what is the complete name? Oh, critical events.
Team training.
So, team training. Okay. Yes. Nos está hablando la pregunta que nos puede proveer algunos ejemplos de cómo Kaiser Permanente y el Antelope Valley Medical Center han hecho un equipo para asistir a todos los pacientes. Dice, bueno, tenemos lo que se llama el pabellón de mujeres e infantes que está en el Antelope Valley Medical Center, donde hay una unidad de obstetricia, y por supuesto que tenemos un equipo para actuar cuando hay eventos críticos. When we talk about critical events, what are you talking about?
So these are emergencies. So anytime there is any sort of obstetrical emergency, whether it be hemorrhage or seizure or hypertensive crises, these all require practice, good communication. You know, some training in advance to make sure that at that moment we can respond as quickly and efficiently as possible.
Bueno, le preguntaba yo qué son los críticos, los eventos críticos. Dice, bueno, cuando hay algún tipo de emergencia de cualquier tipo, nosotros estamos preparados para atenderlas perfectamente, inmediatamente, ¿no? Puede ser una baja de presión, convulsiones, cualquier tipo de ese. Tenemos un equipo ya perfectamente entrenado para responder a ese tipo de emergencias. Now, do you know, right now after COVID, tell me a little bit about the mental health issues that we have confronted, because, you know, really it has been a situation for so long, for so many years. Many people, we lost family members, some for COVID and others because of the lack of attention because of the COVID issues. And it's like, and then we spend all the time with the same people in the same room for too many hours. Tell us a little bit how that has affected the mental health in relation to mothers.
Sure. So it's almost a recipe for disaster. You know, historically we've always talked about postpartum depression, and the focus was always checking on the mom after delivery. But when you look at the statistics, we know that 20% of depression starts even before the pregnancy, so people come into the pregnancy with it. Another 30% develops during the pregnancy, and then the remaining 50% is picked up after pregnancy. And so, so this is again an opportunity for us to shift our perspective to screen our patients during the pregnancy and throughout the pregnancy to make sure that the issues are addressed, timely.
Estamos hablando como de la depresión afecta a las mamás, refiriéndonos específicamente a la depresión que se produce después del parto. Dice, bueno, fíjense que siempre hablamos efectivamente de la depresión después del parto, pero hemos dado cuenta en los análisis que hemos hecho, es que 20% de las personas que tienen depresión la tenían antes de entrar al embarazo. 30% de ellos la desarrollaron durante el embarazo y 50% de ellos sí fue postpartum depression. So, do you think that thinking that you are going to be pregnant gives you the depression, or you already have the depression before getting pregnant?
Right. So
thinking about getting pregnant.
So definitely, people come into the pregnancy with depression, and then there are exacerbating factors after the delivery that can, bring them to light, right? And so by making it a routine part of the discussion during the pregnancy, and completing questionnaires, responding to the queries about depression, we can identify them early and keep them from escalating. There are certainly hormonal effects of delivering. You have decreased progesterone, decreased estrogen, melatonin shifts, cortisol changes. And so those all contribute as well postpartum. But it definitely exists, especially in this time with, as you mentioned, with COVID and isolation and everything else.
I thought that the depression was that you were realizing of the responsibility that you have now for the rest of your life.
Well, so interestingly enough, when you share that responsibility with friends and family, there's a lower depression rate. When you don't have the support of your family, friends, a partner, the postpartum depression increases. When you have resources, so when you have money, food, support, there's less depression. When you don't have access to the same resources, you're at higher risk for postpartum depression.
Estamos hablando de cómo la depresión primero viene, ¿no? Antes de que te embaraces, luego durante el embarazo y el postpartum. Y bueno, una de las razones es que hay muchísimos cambios hormonales en tu cuerpo. Cambian las hormonas, los niveles de hormonas, y eso te puede llevar a la depresión. Pero también hablábamos, le decía yo creí que la depresión de postpartum se daba porque te dabas finalmente cuenta de la responsabilidad que estabas asumiendo para el resto de tu vida. Y dice, bueno, efectivamente, las personas que no sienten ningún respaldo en el momento del parto, que no tienen una pareja, que no tienen una situación económica adecuada, que no tienen el apoyo de toda la familia, son las personas que van a caer más en la depresión. Sí, sobre todo ahora después de lo de la pandemia. Así es que hay que prepararse. So when you are going to get pregnant, you really have to have a holistic preparation, no? Like, okay, I'm going to be healthy, I'm going to eat well, I'm going to exercise, because exercise is going to bring me mental health. I feel that if you exercise, you feel a lot better than if you don't. And so you are going to go in a better situation than if you don't do anything before pregnancy. Yeah?
Absolutely. You should always take care of yourself, but in particular in preparation for the pregnancy. I also wanted to kind of shift back. We were talking about the onset of prenatal care and the importance of starting in the first trimester. Here in the Antelope Valley, the statistics show that only about 65% of patients receive prenatal care in the first trimester. Within our system at Kaiser, we shoot for 95% or above, and we maintain that target. And so what that's telling us is that many people in the local community aren't aware of the resources that are available. And so I did want to pitch what's available through Antelope Valley Hospital.
Okay.
Is now the time to do it?
Okay, let me translate better. Bueno, estamos hablando de la importancia de planear y de prepararse para un embarazo, dice, pero sobre todo en el primer trimestre. Solamente 75% de las mujeres reciben. No, you told me 65 don't receive.
They do. 65 receive.
65 receive. solamente 65% de las mujeres embarazadas reciben atención dentro del primer trimestre. En la meta de Kaiser y el Antler Valley Medical Center es que ellos alcancen el 95% de que de que se les prepare, se les dé atención médica durante los 3 meses del embarazo.
And so it's one of the resources that people aren't aware of is that the hospital, Antelope Valley Medical Center, actually runs an obstetrical clinic where they accept all comers. Any patient who needs care, whether they have insurance or they don't have insurance, can receive care at the clinic that's provided by the medical center.
El Antelope Valley Medical Center provee servicios de obstetricia a todas las personas, tengan seguro médico o no tengan seguro médico, para que pues, puedan atender ahí sus necesidades del embarazo. Then when we are talking about obstetric, include the first months of pregnancy, or only when the baby is going to win? Baby was going to born.
No. So including the first few months of pregnancy. So that's when we do our initial testing.
Okay.
And that's when we can identify risk factors that we can change early on that affects the outcome of the pregnancy.
Okay, what can they do if they are listening and they want to receive the services? Where do they go? How do you have any phone number that they can call? Or
yeah, so the name of the clinic is AVOB, so Antelope Valley OB, AVOB clinic. I have the hospital number. I can't recall the general number off the top of my head, but hospital number is 661-949-5000. And if they reach out and request the direct line, I'm sure they can get it there.
Para la clínica de obstetricia del hospital del centro médico, ahora, pueden llamar al 661-949-5000 y ellos, dice, our doctor is calling in, but it's too late. We are done. Forget about it. So, les quiero dar el número de teléfono para que puedan programar. Amigos, esta información está aquí tan importante y es importante que apunten este número, 661-949-5000, 661-949-5000, y pueden llamar y preguntar por la clínica de obstetricia. Ahí le van a dar toda la información que requiere. Y si está embarazada o si está pensando en embarazarse, este es el momento para que pueda tener un hijo sano o una hija sana para el resto de la vida y que sea una gente productiva para nuestra sociedad. Doctor, it was a pleasure. I thank you for coming. We really appreciate it, and I hope that you can come back again. Thank you so much. Hasta la vista.